Hey, welcome back to my channel. My name's Claire. This is Clarity Planner Company, and my channel is all about using planning and organization to gently shift your life into authentic alignment with your soul's purpose. So today I'm going to talk about what is your driving force, or in other words, what is your why? So why are you pursuing the things that you're pursuing? Why are your dreams what they are, and what is the significance behind those for you? If you want to hear more about that, just keep watching. So I feel like determining what your why is and digging to that is something that we hear over and over and over again when we're starting out on our self-development journey, when we're chasing our dreams. Everything seems to always start with identify your why, figure out why you're doing it, what is your motivation behind it. And it can start to feel a little bit repetitive and kind of lose a little bit of the significance behind what we are trying to accomplish by digging into your why. So I know you probably hear it time and time again, figure out your why, think about why you're doing it before you get started, and sometimes that can be a little bit of a deterrent to getting moving on your journey because it's just one more step you need to do before you can actually start to take action. But it is really important, and the reason for that is because knowing your why and being able to tap into the emotion behind that and the significance and the meaning that it holds for you in your own personal life, that is going to be what really is your motivation for getting started and working towards the goal or the dream that you're looking to chase. But more importantly, it's going to be the driving force that really carries you through the difficult parts of your journey. So when you feel like you're hitting a roadblock or a closed door, when you have a big obstacle that you need to face, when things just become a little bit difficult, you start losing steam, you really feel like you don't want to take the actions that you need to take, or it all feels a little bit too overwhelming, being able to identify your reason why and tap into that during those periods is going to be what helps you to continue to move forward, even when you really don't feel like it. You feel like there's not much use in doing it because it's not getting you to where you're wanting to go anyway. And just helping you break through those barriers or those obstacles that everybody's going to face in their journey. Because if you do keep being consistent and you do keep pushing through, there is no way that you won't eventually make progress towards your goal, towards your dream, and eventually overcome those hurdles that feel like they're impossible to overcome in the moment, but that we do always seem to be able to get through when we don't give up. Not only why do you want to achieve it from like the celebratory aspect and what would it mean to you to accomplish it and how amazing would it be, but also thinking about how is that motivation or that why, that driving force going to carry you through when you do hit those obstacles? How are you going to tap into that reason from a perspective that is going to carry you through? It's going to really light the fire in your soul and really push you to push through those moments because journeys, as we know, they're up and they're down, and you're going around bends, and it is never just a straight road ahead. So, how is knowing your why going to help you be consistent, going to help you to take action when it's the last thing you feel like doing, and it's something that you really know you should be doing and is going to ultimately benefit you and ultimately take that weight off your shoulder of whatever you've been putting off or procrastinating, taking the steps to actually get it done and prove to yourself that you follow through on the promises that you make yourself when you commit to something for yourself alone, that you love and care about yourself enough to follow through on those actions. And the thing with making promises and then not sticking to them is you are actually wiring your brain in a way that it does not believe or hold yourself accountable when you continuously make yourself promises or agreements and you don't hold yourself accountable and you break them, you are teaching your brain that when you tell yourself you're going to do something, it doesn't mean that you're going to do it. And more often than not, it actually means you're not going to do it, which over time, the more you do it, the more difficult it becomes to hold yourself accountable and to do those things that you tell yourself that you're going to do. So if you wonder why you can never do the things for yourself that you promise yourself you're going to do, you're going to start on the Monday, you're going to start tomorrow, you're going to do X, Y, and Z, and you always seem to kind of fall to the wayside and not follow through on those, that is likely because you've taught yourself that that's what happens when you commit to something for yourself and it's not for others. So the way to actually rewire your brain and shift that relationship between telling yourself you're going to do something and actually doing it is to hold yourself accountable and actually push yourself to take the actions and the steps when you tell yourself you're going to do them. So if you make a schedule and you say, okay, Monday at 7 a.m., I'm going to go to the gym, the only way that you're going to get to a point where when you tell yourself that, it becomes the habitual practice that that is what happens and you follow through is to stay consistent with following through even when you don't feel like it and pushing yourself to build up those habits to rewire those connections that have gone a little bit haywire because you haven't been honoring yourself and following through and having the discipline to push yourself to do the things that you've committed to yourself that you're going to do. And that is a really powerful thing to A, be aware of, and B, start to implement in your life. Because when you start to take the actions and you're honoring the commitments that you make to yourself, you're actually building up your own sense of self worth. You're building up your ability and your commitment to yourself with following through on the things that you say you're going to do for yourself. And you are ultimately increasing your self love by following through and being disciplined and respecting and loving and honoring yourself enough to prioritize yourself, your wants, your commitments to you, and your commitments to chasing your goals. And I feel like that's a really exciting place to be. And when you start to shift into that flow, you shift into those routines, you're taking those actions for yourself, not only increasing your self-worth, but you're also making progress and taking tangible steps towards the goals and the dreams that you've set out for yourself. And you're able to track and start to see that progress and see where you're going in life, that you're continuing down the path that you did set out to continue down. And you're really able to start to see the momentum build because things that are not moving. It's very hard to get them moving, to build the momentum from scratch. Starting is often the most difficult part of the journey because you're going from standing still, so to speak, to having to build up that momentum from scratch. And once things are in motion, it's a lot easier to keep it in motion than to build it from nothing. So once you're in motion and you start to follow through on the little actions, and I would say start with your baby steps, start with something that's easy, that's maybe a 2 minute, a 5 minute thing that you can stick to just to build up the habit of following through for yourself. But once you start to build that momentum, it will continue to build. You can continue to add to it, continue to increase the impact of the actions that you're connecting to what you've set out to do. And so I hope this helps. I hope it's being a little bit of a motivation for you to start to honor yourself, really take the time to slow down, to speed up, and identify what that why is so that you are able to push through and you're not in this repeated cycle where you start, you feel really good and motivated, and then something comes and knocks you off course. And rather than having that driving force to push you through because you know what your why is, you allow yourself to fall back into old habits, stop following through for yourself, and all of that kind of response to the obstacle. So take the time, I would say, even if you have 5, 10 minutes after this video and you can do it kind of immediately after listening to this, that would be ideal. Just because, as I said, you're already in momentum. And once you're in momentum, it's a lot easier to keep going rather than say, oh, I'll do it later and then hope that you get back to it at some point. It is something you can do fairly quickly. And so if you are able to take the time now to do that, would highly recommend for you to do so. And if you are comfortable with it, I would love if you could share what your why is and the meaning behind it in the comments. Just to share a little bit of what motivates people, what is the driving force behind what you're wanting to do. And then the other thing I would do with that is really tap into if it's your motivation or if it's motivation that's coming from external sources. So is it something where you want to be financially stable? You want to have the big house and the car? And is that coming from external factors or is that coming from within and you have a desire to be financially stable because it's something maybe that you lacked when you were younger, and having that sense of financial stability to you, that's freedom, that is something that will help you feel stable, help you feel safe and secure, and allow you to have the freedom to chase your dreams. So, what is the motivation behind what you're wanting, not just what are you wanting? And then tap into why is that the motivation behind it? And is that really something that's of significance for you? And if it's not, that's fine, but just dig a little bit deeper and see if you can find what the actual root cause behind it is. So, again, I would love if you could share it in the comments. As always, if you could like and subscribe, that helps me out a lot. And if you have anything that you would like to hear me kind of chat about, please feel free to leave that in the comments as well. I love to hear what you guys are wanting to see from me. And I am wishing you all a very beautiful week ahead.